What if I told you that this video isn't appearing in front of you by accident? Out of the millions of videos you could have watched today, somehow, you found this one. Maybe you were simply scrolling. Maybe you were searching for answers. Or maybe someone you've never met, but whose soul already knows yours, has been trying to reach you. Not through a phone call. Not through a text message. But through signs. Dreams. Strange coincidences. And quiet moments that most people ignore. If you've been seeing repeating numbers. If someone's face keeps appearing in your mind for no reason. If your heart has been feeling restless lately, don't ignore it. Because what you're about to hear may explain everything. Stay with me until the very end. One message could change the way you see your life forever. Take a slow breath. Close your eyes for just a moment. Think about the last time you felt that someone was missing from your life. Not just a relationship. Not just romance. But someone whose presence would make everything feel complete. Most people believe soulmates are found by luck. But that's not how it works. Long before two people meet, their souls begin searching. Sometimes for years. Sometimes for decades. And while the mind forgets, the heart remembers. Have you ever walked into a crowded room and suddenly felt as if someone was watching you? Have you ever dreamed of a person whose face you couldn't fully remember after waking up? Have you ever felt a strange connection to a place you've never visited? These moments aren't always random. Sometimes they are whispers from a future that hasn't arrived yet. Your soulmate may already exist somewhere in this world. They may be living an ordinary life. Going to work. Smiling at strangers. Wondering why something feels missing. Just like you. Without realizing it. Both of you may be searching for each other at the exact same time. Life has a mysterious way of bringing two paths together. Not always quickly. Not always easily. But always at the right moment. And before that meeting happens, the universe has a strange habit of sending signs. Tiny clues. Gentle reminders. Unexpected moments that quietly say, "Don't lose hope." Many people miss these signs because they're too busy looking for certainty. But love rarely arrives with certainty. It arrives with curiosity. With unexpected timing. With moments that don't make sense until much later. Think back over the past few weeks. Has someone unexpectedly reached out to you? Have you suddenly remembered an old conversation? Have you felt drawn toward becoming a better version of yourself? Growth often happens right before an important connection enters your life. Your soulmate isn't looking for the old version of you. They're searching for the person you're becoming. That's why difficult seasons matter. Every disappointment. Every goodbye. Every unanswered question has been quietly shaping your heart. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Imagine trying to meet someone who could truly understand your soul before you understood yourself. The timing would never feel right. That's why life sometimes asks us to wait. Not because we're forgotten, but because we're still becoming ready. Maybe you've questioned why certain relationships ended. Maybe you've blamed yourself. Maybe you've wondered if lasting love was ever meant for you. But what if those endings weren't failures? What if they were protection? Every closed door made space for the one that truly belongs to you. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually redirection. And one day, you'll look back and realize that every delay carried a purpose. Your soulmate isn't simply someone you'll love. They're someone who helps you recognize yourself. Someone who sees the parts of you that you've hidden from everyone else. Someone who reminds you that being understood feels different from being admired. Real connection doesn't ask you to pretend. It invites you to be real. And perhaps that's exactly why you're hearing these words today. Because deep inside, a part of you already knows that something is changing. You can feel it, even if you can't explain it. Sometimes change begins quietly, like sunrise. No loud announcement, no dramatic moment. Just light slowly replacing darkness. The same thing happens in our lives. Hope returns before evidence appears. Peace arrives before answers. And love often begins long before two people ever meet. So if your heart has been telling you not to give up, listen carefully. It may not simply be your own voice. It could be the echo of another heart, searching for yours. Have you ever had a day that felt different? Not because anything extraordinary happened, but because something inside you quietly whispered, "Pay attention." Most people dismiss those moments. They blame stress. They blame coincidence. They tell themselves they're imagining things. But sometimes, life becomes quiet so you can finally hear what has been speaking to you all along. Your soulmate may not know your name yet. They may have never seen your face. But souls don't always communicate through words. Sometimes they communicate through energy, through timing, through feelings that seem to appear from nowhere. Have you noticed how certain songs suddenly follow you everywhere? You hear the same lyrics in a coffee shop, then again while driving, then once more before you fall asleep. Maybe it isn't the song itself that's important. Maybe it's the feeling it awakens inside you. Because emotions have a strange way of preparing us before reality changes. Think about the people you've met throughout your life. Some stayed. Some disappeared. Some taught painful lessons. Every single one of them shaped the person you are today. At the time, it probably felt unfair. Maybe someone walked away without explaining why. Maybe someone promised forever and left anyway. Maybe you gave your whole heart only to watch it break. If that's your story, don't be ashamed of it. A heart that has loved deeply is never weak. It is simply learning how to recognize the love that truly belongs to it. Imagine trying to appreciate the sunrise if you had never experienced the darkness of night. The light wouldn't mean the same. Sometimes life allows heartbreak not to destroy your faith, but to refine it. To teach you the difference between attachment and genuine connection. Your soulmate isn't looking for perfection. They're looking for honesty. Someone who has learned compassion. Someone who understands forgiveness. Someone who knows that real love isn't about never hurting. It's about choosing each other, even when life becomes difficult. Right now, somewhere in this world, another person may be asking the same questions you're asking. Will I ever find the right one? Does someone out there really understand me? When will my waiting finally end? What if the answer to all those questions is closer than you think? Maybe your paths have already crossed. Perhaps you stood in the same grocery store, walked through the same airport, sat in the same park months apart. Life has countless invisible threads connecting people long before they realize it. And when the right time comes, those threads begin pulling two lives toward each other. Not by force, but naturally, almost effortlessly. That's why you should never compare your journey with someone else's. Someone else's love story isn't your timeline. Your story is unfolding exactly as it needs to. Some flowers bloom in spring. Others bloom in autumn. Neither one is late. They simply bloom when they're ready. The same is true for love. If you've been feeling lonely lately, don't mistake loneliness for abandonment. Sometimes solitude is where your strongest transformation begins. It's where you rediscover your dreams, your confidence, your purpose. Because your soulmate isn't meant to complete an empty life. They're meant to share a full one. The healthiest relationships begin when two whole people choose each other. Not because they are incomplete, but because they want to build something beautiful together. So ask yourself, who are you becoming while you're waiting? Are you growing? Are you healing? Are you learning to love yourself with the same kindness you hope someone else will one day give you? Because the love you offer yourself becomes the standard for every relationship that follows. Never underestimate the quiet work you're doing today. Every lesson, every tear, every difficult decision, every moment you chose hope over bitterness. It's shaping the future version of you. And that future version is exactly who your soulmate is meant to meet. One day, without warning, life will interrupt your routine. A simple conversation, a random invitation, a wrong turn that becomes the right direction, a message you almost ignored. And suddenly, everything you've been waiting for will begin with something that seemed completely ordinary. That's how destiny often works. Not with fireworks, but with small moments that quietly become unforgettable. Maybe that day is still weeks away. Maybe it's months away. Or maybe it's much closer than you realize. So don't close your heart because of yesterday. Don't assume tomorrow will repeat the pain of your past. The future has never asked permission from the past. It creates its own story. And perhaps your greatest chapter hasn't even begun yet. As you finish listening to these words, take one deep breath. Release every fear that says you're running out of time. Because real love doesn't arrive according to your calendar. It arrives when two hearts are finally ready to recognize each other. Maybe your soulmate is looking at the same stars tonight. Maybe they're making a silent wish. The very same wish you have made countless times before. Neither of you knows exactly when you'll meet. But both of your stories are moving toward the same destination. So keep believing. Keep growing. Keep choosing hope. Because sometimes, the message you've been waiting for your entire life is already finding its way to you. There are moments in life that seem ordinary while they're happening. Until one day you look back and realize that was the moment everything changed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't come with a warning. It arrived quietly. Like a gentle breeze that carries the scent of rain before the first drop ever falls. Perhaps that moment is closer than you think. Maybe your soulmate has already started walking toward the same future you're moving toward. Not because of chance, but because every step, every delay, and every lesson has been leading both of you to the exact place where your stories will finally meet. For a long time, you may have believed that waiting meant nothing was happening. But waiting doesn't always mean standing still. Sometimes, the greatest changes are happening where you cannot see them. Think about a seed buried deep beneath the ground. From the surface, it looks lifeless. Nothing appears to be changing. Yet beneath the soil, roots are growing stronger every single day. The same is true for your journey. Even on the days when nothing seems different, your life is quietly preparing for something greater. And so is your soulmate's. Maybe they're healing from a chapter they never expected to survive. Maybe they're learning to trust again after giving their heart to the wrong person. Maybe they're asking the same questions you ask before going to sleep. Will I ever find the one who truly understands me? It's amazing how two strangers can carry the same hope without ever knowing the other person exists. Sometimes, the universe works in silence. Not because it has forgotten you, but because it's arranging details too beautiful to rush. Have you noticed how certain people suddenly disappear from your life? At first, it feels painful. You wonder what you did wrong. You replay conversations. You search for answers that never come. But years later, you realize those goodbyes were actually making room for the people who were meant to stay. Not every ending is a loss. Some endings are quiet acts of protection. Sometimes life removes what your heart refuses to release. Because it sees what you cannot. Your soulmate isn't someone who will ask you to become someone else. They won't ask you to hide your dreams. They won't make you question your worth. Instead, they'll remind you of the strength you forgot you had. Real love doesn't make you feel smaller. It gives you room to grow. It celebrates your victories. It stays during difficult conversations. It chooses understanding instead of pride. That's the kind of connection your soul has been waiting for. Not perfection, but peace. Have you ever felt an unexplainable calm after making a difficult decision? That's often how purpose feels. It doesn't always remove uncertainty, but it gives you the courage to keep moving anyway. The same thing happens when love begins finding you. Your heart becomes quieter. You stop chasing people who constantly make you doubt yourself. You stop begging for attention. You stop settling for relationships that leave you feeling alone. Because deep inside, you've started believing that the right person will never require you to abandon who you are. And that's one of the biggest signs that you're getting closer. Healing changes your standards. It teaches you that love should never feel like a constant battle for approval. Your soulmate won't expect you to earn your value. They'll recognize it. Imagine looking into someone's eyes and feeling as though you've known them forever. Not because you've met before, but because something inside you immediately feels safe. That's the kind of connection people spend years searching for. It can't be forced. It can't be rushed. It can only be recognized. Maybe that's why you've been feeling different lately. Perhaps you've become more patient, more reflective, more willing to let go of what no longer brings you peace. Those aren't random changes. They're signs of growth. And growth always comes before new beginnings. As tonight comes to an end, take a moment to thank every chapter that shaped you. Even the painful ones. Even the lonely ones. Because without those chapters, you wouldn't be the person capable of recognizing genuine love when it finally arrives. Somewhere, someone is preparing to meet a person they've been praying for. What if that person is you? What if, at this very moment, your soulmate is also learning lessons that will one day allow them to love you in the way you've always deserved? Neither of you can see the full picture yet. But that's okay. The most beautiful stories are never revealed all at once. They unfold one page at a time. So don't lose hope because today looks ordinary. Ordinary days often become extraordinary memories. The conversation you almost didn't have. The place you almost didn't visit. The message you almost ignored. Could become the beginning of a story you'll tell for the rest of your life. Until that day arrives. Keep believing. Keep healing. Keep becoming the person you're proud to be. Because love isn't simply about finding the right person. It's also about becoming the right person when the moment finally comes. And when your paths finally cross, you'll realize something incredible. Your soulmate was never late. They were simply arriving at exactly the right time.